Good morning, Acadiana. It's Thursday, March 18th, 2021, and you're listening to Local News Live, a production of AOC Community Media in partnership with the Acadiana Advocate. Their team of journalists print the stories important to our community and state, and we are happy to read you some of those stories. You can hear Local News Live Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on AOC 1, the AOC Community Media channel on YouTube, and on Cypress Street Radio at aocinc.org/csradio. You can find the print versions of these stories and more at theadvocate.com. We couldn't bring you this community service without the generosity of our volunteer newsreaders. Today, we're joined by Robert Richard. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, Matt. Good to be here.
Thank you so much for reading. I know we have a few stories on the docket today, so I am going to go listen on Cypress Street Radio.
Very good. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. We'll start with Acadiana News. On the ball. With golf seeing its biggest surge of interest in years, sales at Lafayette-based golfballs.com are way up. By Adam Daigle, Acadiana business editor. The pandemic has spun off two peculiar trends, the surge in e-commerce and the rising popularity of golf. Sitting in between those two is Lafayette-based golfballs.com, one of the top web-based golf retailers in the country. The rounds of golf in 2020 shot up to levels not seen in over 20 years. About 60 million more rounds were played in 2020 than in 2019, making the sport that can be played while socially distanced a popular outlet for many during the pandemic. The result? Sales at golfballs.com were up 20%, with 180,000 new customers and a 50% spike in online sales. Golf has been a sport that people have gone to as one of the safe sports, CEO Tom Cox said. Golf has grown. It's kind of like when Tiger Woods got into the game. A lot of people were excited and it stayed at a very high level. And then the Great Recession came and it kind of dipped and stayed relatively flat. Now we have a lot of new people who've entered the golf game. The 2020 numbers showed the surge in demand. The number of golf balls sold topped 11 million. The number of personalized golf balls sold, over 8 million. The game had a surge in sales and rounds played across the board. Golf Data Tech reported a 13.9% increase in rounds played compared to 2019, the biggest jump since it began tracking rounds in 1998. Online sales for sporting goods and other hobbies during the second quarter of 2020 increased by 107%, according to the U.S. Census Bureau data. The biggest jump in e-commerce outside of food sales. Sales were still up 75% in the third quarter and 61% in the fourth quarter, slightly edging out home construction material sales. Taking into account March and April 2020, when most courses were shut down, and you can get a picture of how big the boom was. At golfballs.com, the small number of employees were put on furlough, Cox noted, but business rebounded so quickly that it ended up being just a blip. By June, most of the courses around the country were reopened. In terms of business, it fell off abruptly, he said of last spring. Our corporate business fell substantially. People stopped buying, but mostly tournaments stopped buying. That was a big part of our business. About 30 days into the pandemic, something interesting happened, and that's when golf courses started reopening again. The company has retained its 120 employees, most of whom are housed at its office on Arnold Boulevard, but will expand to 150 as it enters the spring season, Cox said. The office houses its retail store, production and fulfillment operations, customer service, corporate sales, and administrative support staff, while a small tech staff is housed in a downtown office. The spring season, and more people getting vaccinated, could bring a return of the corporate side of business. About 25% of their business is corporate related, Cox said. Businesses are starting to buy again, he said. We feel like people are having tournaments again, and businesses are spending on promotional items. We're seeing the corporate side of our business come back. We're seeing it right now in a significant way. So we feel like the rest of this year should be a really nice growth year for the business. The company's specialty continues to be personalized balls, including the Align XL line that features a thick line over half the ball with wording in the middle. That remains one of its more popular items for the company that brands itself as the world leader in golf customization. The National Golf Foundation listed it as one of the top 100 businesses in golf earlier this year. Anybody with enough money and enough desire can compete against us, he said. But I think companies of that scale have bigger markets to pursue. I think we're right in the sweet spot of a company our size to be able to innovate and do these kinds of things, and the customers love it. Woody gets 3 life terms for killing and kidnapping. By Katie Gagliano, staff writer. Philip DeWoody of Opelousas was sentenced to 3 life terms in prison Tuesday after pleading guilty to the 2020 slaying of a deaf Bill Platt grandmother and the rape and kidnapping of a second woman. DeWoody, 54, pleaded guilty before 27th Judicial District Court Judge Ladrika Theory to charges of first-degree murder, aggravated kidnapping, and first-degree rape, and was sentenced to life without probation, parole, or suspension of sentence on each of the 3 charges, the St. Landry Parish Clerk of Court's office confirmed. The 3 sentences will be served consecutively. 27th Judicial District Attorney Chad Petrie said his office agreed not to seek the death penalty if DeWoody pleaded to the original charges. The sentences were supported by the victims' families. Finally, justice was delivered today for these 2 victims and their families, Petrie said in a statement. The victims and their families have some amount of closure, knowing this defendant will never see the outside of a prison and will never harm anyone again. DeWoody was sentenced in the death of Joyce Thomas, 72, who was last seen leaving her apartment on North Chautauqua Street in Bill Platt with DeWoody on February 26, 2020. DeWoody sent text messages and called the woman's family with ransom demands and sent a video of her inside an abandoned home in St. Landry Parish. He threatened her family not to involve law enforcement, an affidavit said. Her body was later discovered in a wooded area off Interstate 49 in Grand Coteau, adjacent to the abandoned property where the ransom tape was filmed. Thomas was covered in a chemical substance consistent with bleach. Video surveillance at Bill Platt Walmart showed DeWoody purchasing bleach before he picked up Thomas. Investigators also found bleach-stained pants among DeWoody's possessions. The aggravated kidnapping and first-degree rape sentences stem from a separate kidnapping in which DeWoody forced an Opelousas woman into his vehicle on February 22, 2020, and drove her to the same abandoned property where he later murdered Thomas. DeWoody forced the woman to lie on the ground while she kicked him and begged to go home. DeWoody raped the woman and cut her feeding tube, an arrest affidavit said. He later returned her to the intersection of Market and Foulard Street in Opelousas, the same area he had abducted her from. The woman's daughter found her wandering in the street after she had been missing for hours, and the daughter contacted the Opelousas Police Department, the document said. DeWoody was already in custody for questioning in the disappearance of Thomas when investigators identified him as the Opelousas woman's kidnapper. While investigating, the woman led law enforcement officials to the abandoned property where DeWoody assaulted her. Thomas's body was located there soon after. Petrie said DeWoody and his attorney agreed on the court record to waive appeals or post-conviction relief. DeWoody's attorney was listed as Louisiana Capital Assistant Center Attorney William Boggs, per the Clerk of Court's office. DeWoody moved to Opelousas after being granted parole on June 10, 2019. He was serving a 117-year, 2-month, and 12-day sentence for crimes including armed robbery, aggravated escape, and second-degree kidnapping after he robbed 2 Lincoln Parish residents and their toddler at their home in 1993, then escaped custody from the Lincoln Parish Detention Center by kidnapping a female officer at knife point, court records say. DeWoody became eligible for parole in 2013 under Act 790, a 1990 law that stipulates that offenders sentenced to 30 years or more, with or without benefit of parole, will become eligible for parole after serving at least 20 years in prison and reaching the age of 45. Public service announcement. The United Way of Acadiana is offering free tax preparation. The United Way of Acadiana is offering free tax preparation services through its Volunteer Income Tax Assistance (VITA) program. The program provides low and moderate income individuals and families with free, reliable assistance with filing federal tax returns. There are 12 filing locations participating this year throughout the Acadiana region. Most locations are by appointment only due to the COVID-19 safety restrictions. Visit unitedwayofacadiana.org/VITA for site locations, opening dates, and to make appointments. For additional resources, visit myfreetaxes.com to learn more about alternate free or low-cost filing options currently available. The VITA program is just one way the United Way of Acadiana is working to help individuals and families achieve and maintain financial stability. Learn about additional programs by visiting unitedwayofacadiana.org. Continuing with Acadiana news, Acadiana experiences strong wind and hail. Severe thunderstorms sweep across the Deep South. Staff report. Portions of Acadiana experienced strong winds, large hail, and power outages Wednesday as severe thunderstorms moved across Louisiana and into Mississippi and Alabama. The storms prompted multiple tornado watches and severe thunderstorm warnings across South Louisiana. There were reports of 1¼ inch hail and wind gusts as high as 70 miles per hour in the Acadiana region, according to meteorologist Donald Jones of the National Weather Service in Lake Charles. Several school districts and government agencies, including Lafayette Parish Public Schools, closed early Wednesday in anticipation of the bad weather. Every parish in Acadiana was under a tornado watch Wednesday afternoon, and portions of Acadiana were also under severe thunderstorm warnings as high winds threatened to damage roofs, siding, and trees, and hail threatened to damage vehicles. South Louisiana was expected to escape the worst of the storms, which were forecast to produce tornadoes, damaging winds, and large hail into Thursday morning. As Jones answered questions during a live forecast Wednesday afternoon, the meteorologist stressed the importance of watches and warnings during weather events. He reminded people that severe thunderstorms generally don't result in widespread damage in the same way as hurricanes. Instead, the risks are more sporadic, but just as significant, he said. Not everybody is going to see severe weather when we're talking about severe storms, said Jones. In the vast majority of cases, you end up not being hit by damaging winds or tornadoes. And then people come back and say you were wrong. You said we were going to get hit by a tornado and we didn't. But just because you didn't get hit by one doesn't mean other people didn't. The Storm Prediction Center placed portions of the lower Mississippi River Valley under its most severe weather caution Wednesday morning, saying there was a high risk of severe weather in an area roughly from east of Monroe to Birmingham, Alabama. The greatest threat in Acadiana was expected to be in northern St. Landry and Evangeline parishes, Jones said. That area, along with portions of central and northern Louisiana, faced a moderate risk of severe weather. That's a pretty significant risk across our area, Jones said. We only see that usually maybe once or twice a year. The system could be one of the biggest severe weather outbreaks across the South in a few years, according to the KATC weather team. Report. A maskless deputy banged on the window with a gun after denied entrance. Crime blotter from advocate staff reports. A St. Landry Parish Sheriff's Office deputy was arrested Wednesday in an altercation at the Opelousas Office of Motor Vehicles, where witnesses say the deputy banged his gun against the OMV door after being denied entrance for refusing to wear a mask. Opelousas Police Chief Martin McClendon said Ryan Fenton Sr., 48, was arrested on account each of public intimidation and aggravated assault with a firearm. Fenton will be booked into the St. Landry Parish Jail. McClendon said officers responded to the disturbance at the OMB on Cresswell Lane at 11:10 a.m. Investigators determined Fenton was arguing with employees after he refused to wear a mask to enter the office. During the argument, witnesses provided written statements that Fenton, who was in uniform, drew his weapon and began banging it on the closed door of the building, demanding to be let in. Fenton made people in the area waiting for assistance fearful for their safety, McClendon said. St. Landry Parish deputy was taken into custody at the scene. Officers determined he was assigned as a full-time courtroom bailiff with the sheriff's office. A department spokesman said Fenton is on leave pending investigation, and his badge, deputy commission, police vehicle, and department weapon were confiscated while the administrative investigation is continuing. A man was arrested after a baby drowns in a tub. A Church Point man has been arrested on account of negligent homicide after the accidental drowning death of his 9-month-old child, according to the St. Landry Parish Sheriff's Office. Nicholas Lee Ducote, 30, was arrested Monday in the March 4th drowning. Police say Ducote placed his 9-month-old and 2-year-old children in the bathtub and allowed them to play with bath toys while he folded clothes. He then left the bathroom and played a video game for a short time, according to the statement from the sheriff's office. While in the other room, Ducote heard a loud splash and went inside the bathroom to check on the children. The 9-month-old was unresponsive in the water in the back of the tub. The 2-year-old was sitting in the front part of the tub and was not injured. Ducote removed both children from the tub and called out to a family member for assistance, according to the sheriff's office. Emergency services were immediately contacted, they said. An autopsy was conducted on March 8, 2021, Sheriff Bobby J. Guidroz said in a prepared statement. The death of the juvenile was ruled an accidental drowning. However, Nicholas Ducote committed the act of criminal negligence. His simple carelessness resulted in the accidental death of an infant child. Ducote was transported to the St. Landry Parish Jail and booked on account of negligent homicide. His bail was set at $25,000. A deputy is on leave after a trespassing arrest. The Lafayette Parish Sheriff's Office has launched an internal affairs investigation into an off-duty deputy's arrest on trespassing and other counts Monday. Deputy Kevin Bork, 41, of Carencro, was arrested Monday afternoon on counts including criminal trespass, obstruction of justice, entry on or remaining in a place after forbidden, tampering with the surveillance system, and unauthorized entry of an inhabited dwelling, according to a booking log from the Lafayette Parish Correctional Institute Center. His bail was set at $30,000, and he was released after meeting his bail requirements. Valerie Poncetti, Public Information Officer for the Sheriff's Department, said the department arrested Bork after a warrant was issued by the Youngsville Police Department. Bork has been placed on paid administrative leave pending the results of the investigation. A man was arrested with an assault-style rifle. A Broussard man has been arrested in connection with a report of gunshots being fired Sunday in a Broussard neighborhood. Officers were dispatched to a report of shots being fired on Gustave Street in Broussard about 10:15 p.m. Sunday, according to a statement from the Broussard Police Department. Once on scene, officers found 24-year-old Tristan Green walking with an assault-style rifle slung across his back, the statement said. Green was detained by officers, and a search of the area revealed a spent .308 cartridge in the roadway, matching the live rounds in the magazine of the gun that Green was carrying. Green has prior felony arrests for aggravated battery with a dangerous weapon in 2017 and attempted second-degree murder in 2018, according to police. A man gets 10 years in a child porn case. A St. Martinville man was sentenced to 10 years in federal prison for distribution of child pornography. Anthony Sal Melanson Jr., 48, was sentenced Wednesday to 10 years in prison, followed by 15 years of supervised release by U.S. District Judge Michael J. Juneau. Melanson pleaded guilty to a pornography charge in December. Investigators determined while Melanson was in a sexual relationship with a woman, he discussed his desire to have sex with a girl and asked the woman if she would agree to engage in sexual acts with him and a girl. Then, in January 2017, Melanson sent the woman a pornographic photo of a pubescent girl he claimed to have performed sexual acts on. Melanson then began asking the woman for photos of her minor daughter. The woman's husband found the messages on the woman's laptop and contacted law enforcement. Melanson admitted to sending pornographic images over the internet when questioned, according to a release from the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Western District of Louisiana. Today in History by the Associated Press. Today is Thursday, March 18th, the 77th day of 2021. There are 288 days left in the year. Today's highlight in history: on March 18, 1963, the U.S. Supreme Court in Gideon versus Wainwright ruled unanimously that state courts were required to provide legal counsel to criminal defendants who could not afford to hire an attorney on their own. On this date, in 1910, the first filmed adaptation of Mary Shelley's novel Frankenstein, a silent short produced by Thomas Edison's New York movie studio was released. In 1922, Mohandas K. Gandhi was sentenced in India to 6 years imprisonment for civil disobedience. He was released after serving 2 years. In 1925, the tri-state tornado struck southeastern Missouri, southern Illinois, and southwestern Indiana, resulting in 700 deaths. In 1937, in America's worst school disaster, nearly 300 people, most of them children, were killed in a natural gas explosion at the New London Consolidated School in Rusk County, Texas. In 1940, Adolf Hitler and Benito Mussolini met at the Brenner Pass, where the Italian dictator agreed to join Germany's war against France and Britain. In 1942, President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed an executive order authorizing the War Relocation Authority, which was put in charge of interning Japanese Americans, with Milton S. Eisenhower, the younger brother of Dwight D. Eisenhower, as its director. In 1965, the first spacewalk took place as Soviet cosmonaut Alexei Leonov went outside his Voskhod 2 capsule, secured by a tether. In 1996, rejecting an insanity defense, a jury in Dedham, Massachusetts, convicted John C. Salvia III of murdering 2 women in attacks at 2 Boston area abortion clinics in December 1994. Salvi later committed suicide in his prison cell. 10 years ago, President Barack Obama demanded that Muammar Gaddafi halt all military attacks on civilians and said that if the Libyan leader did not stand down, the United States would join other nations in launching military action against him. 5 years ago, a jury in St. Petersburg, Florida, sided with ex-pro wrestler Hulk Hogan, awarding him $115 million in compensatory damages in his sex tape lawsuit against Gawker Media. 3 days later, the jury awarded $25 million in punitive damages. Gawker, which ended up going bankrupt, finally settled with Hogan for $31 million. 1 year ago, describing himself as a wartime president, President Donald Trump said he would invoke emergency powers to let the government steer production of needed medical supplies by private companies. Today's birthdays. Composer John Kander is 94. Nobel Peace Laureate and former South African President F.W. de Klerk is 85. Actor Brad Dourif is 71. Jazz musician Bill Frisell is 70. Singer Irene Cara is 62. Alt country musician Karen Grotberg of the Jayhawks is 62. Movie writer-director Luke Benson is 62. Actor Jeffrey Owens is 60. Actor Thomas Ian Griffith is 59. Singer-songwriter James McMurdy is 59. TV personality Mike Rowe is 59. Singer-actor Vanessa L. Williams is 58. Olympic gold medal speed skater Bonnie Blair is 57. Actor David Cubitt is 56. Rock musician Jerry Cantrell of Alice in Chains is 55. Rock singer-musician Mekhi Burney is 54. Actor Michael Bergen is 52. Rapper, actor, talk show host Queen Latifah is 51. Former White House Chief of Staff Reince Priebus is 49. Actor-comedian Dane Cook is 49. Country singer Philip Sweet of Little Big Town is 47. Rock musician Stuart Zender is 47. Singer Evan and Jaron Lonestein are 47. Actor, singer, dancer Sutton Foster is 46. Rock singer Adam Levine of Maroon 5 is 42. Actor Adam Pawley is 39. Today's zodiac: Pisces, February 20th to March 20th. Stay out of other people's business and keep others from interfering in yours. Distance yourself from aggressive and unpredictable situations and focus on making positive changes. Aries, March 21st to April 19th. Take the initiative and pick up the pace. Reach out to people who can help you reach your goal. Discipline and hard work will lead to an opportunity. Refuse to let emotional matters slow you down. Taurus, April 20th to May 20th. Make up your mind and keep moving forward. Making a premature move will end up slowing you down. Keep your thoughts and feelings to yourself. Gemini, May 21st to June 20th. Gather knowledge, listen to experts, and dismiss people who are pushy and uncompromising. Don't pass along information you have yet to verify. Facts, truth, and integrity matter. Cancer, June 21st to July 22nd. Do your own thing. Use your imagination and look for new ways to utilize old ideas to fit trends. Invest time and money in self-improvement, education, and personal growth. Romance is on the rise. Leo, July 23rd to August 22nd. Take a moment to think matters through. Before you repeat someone's words, make sure they are accurate. Don't believe everything you hear or offer something you cannot deliver. Virgo, August 23rd to September 22nd. Address contractual, financial, and legal matters calmly. You try to use force, you'll meet opposition. Intelligence and knowledge will encourage others to bend to your wishes. Libra, September 23rd to October 23rd. Put everything in its place. Prepare to bring about changes that will improve your financial situation and engage in activities that will encourage better health and fitness. Scorpio, October 24th to November 22nd. An open mind will encourage talks that will help you manage your emotions and meaningful relationships. Looking at both sides of an issue will help you develop solutions. Sagittarius, November 23rd to December 21st. Stay calm, regardless of what others say. Don't lose sight of what's authentic and meaningful to you. Observe more and speak less until you are sure of how you feel and what you want to do. Capricorn, December 22nd to January 19th. A change looks promising. Watch things unfold, and you'll come up with a plan that will encourage you to update your surroundings to fit your lifestyle. Aquarius, January 20th to February 19th. You aren't likely to see eye to eye with a friend, relative, or coworker. Emotions will surface, causing conversations to turn rancorous if you don't choose your words wisely. The horoscope is an entertainment feature and is not based on scientific fact. In state news, vaccinations lag in southwest Louisiana. Recovery from hurricanes takes priority. By Blake Patterson, staff writer. An increase in cases of the more transmissible UK coronavirus variant in southwest Louisiana has added urgency to vaccination efforts there. With the region reeling from a string of destructive natural disasters, health officials are struggling to get shots in the arms. Nearly 7 months after Hurricane Laura ravaged Lake Charles and surrounding parishes, thousands of families are still without homes, and many are preoccupied with the grueling tasks that come with recovery. Haggling with insurance companies, hiring contractors, and picking up debris. It's very hard for people to prioritize their health and get a vaccine when they don't have a roof over their head or food on the table, said Dr. Lacey Cavanaugh, Regional Medical Director for the Office of Public Health. It's low on the hierarchy of needs. The region, which includes Allen, Beauregard, Calcasieu, Cameron, and Jeff Davis parishes, was further hobbled in its inoculation efforts in February when an ice storm knocked out power and closed roads, pausing distribution efforts and adding one more layer of stress to an already weary population. As of Wednesday, the southwest region of Louisiana had the lowest percentage of its population fully vaccinated at 82%, nearly half the rate in the New Orleans region, which tops the list at 13.48, according to data from the Louisiana Department of Health. Cavanaugh cautioned against relying on that data, noting that untold thousands of residents have been displaced from the region in recent months, making the numbers benchmark to an outdated population count. Still, there's no doubt that the region is facing added challenges in getting shots in the arms. That's most apparent, officials said, in how much longer it takes providers to fill up their appointments. It's not like other regions where there's a race to get a spot, said Lace Armentar, Vice President of Ochsner Christus Health Center in Lake Charles. It's kind of like a slow trickle effect. To encourage sign-ups, Cavanaugh said providers are focusing on the little things they can do to reduce barriers. They've set up phone lines so patients who have yet to have their internet restored can still make appointments. At drive-through events, people without cars or appointments aren't turned away, and providers are flexing hours to accommodate different working schedules. We have to make it easy and simple for them to get the vaccine, Armentar said. The best compliment I got is, y'all run y'all's clinic like a Chick-fil-A drive-through. A study last summer from the Louisiana Public Health Institute found that 43% of residents living in the southwest region would get a vaccine if it became available, the lowest interest recorded in the state. The survey was conducted prior to the approval of any vaccine, and Kavanaugh said hesitancy in the region is no more pronounced than what officials are seeing elsewhere. Adding to the urgency to roll out vaccinations is the concentration of confirmed cases of the United Kingdom variant in the region, a fact that Governor John Bell Edwards highlighted on his Wednesday radio show. 7 cases of the strain have been identified there, with 50 more suspected awaiting confirmation from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, according to the State Health Department data. We feel like we're in a race to get as many people vaccinated as soon as we can to prevent any future wave of COVID, Kavanaugh said. Another big spike is the last thing we need when we're already trying to recover. As they work to inoculate the public, health officials in the region are facing their own struggles in recovery. The roof on Kavanaugh's home was destroyed by Hurricane Laura. It was soon replaced, but less than 2 months later, Hurricane Delta damaged it again. Armentar said insurance claims for damage to his home was approved 3 weeks ago, allowing him to finally get to work on repairs. There are 3 other families who lost their home living on his property. The region's public health building was also damaged, cutting off access to nearly half of its working space. The storage facility on campus that holds personal protective gear and some paperwork caved in, and boxes of masks and gloves are now stacked ceiling high in a vacant conference room. It's the wild, wild west, Kavanaugh said of their new setup. In the face of so many challenges, some providers have found a way to keep vaccines flowing. South Cameron Memorial Hospital was ravaged by Hurricane Laura and is now largely unusable, but a determined group of healthcare workers are still giving out shots under a makeshift tent clinic. And Boudreaux's new drugstore in Lake Charles is now vaccinating up to 1,200 people a week, a bright spot its owner, Jesse Vidrine, said is a testament to the connection that small, locally owned pharmacies have with the people they serve. We're a commodity pharmacy that's focused on caring for patients rather than treating patients like cattle, getting them in and out as fast as possible, Vidrine said. FEMA to increase share to 90% of debris removal costs. Municipalities to be reimbursed for hurricane cleanup, by Ken Stickney, staff writer. Calcasieu Parish and neighboring areas are set to receive additional reimbursements for debris removal in the wake of Hurricanes Laura and Delta. U.S. Senators Bill Cassidy and John Kennedy announced the Federal Emergency Management Agency will refund an additional $19.6 million to Calcasieu Parish for its initial share of the cost for removing fencing, shingles, insulation, and other refuse placed by the parish's roadsides due to hurricane-related damage. Thomas Heffer, spokesman for Calcasieu Parish, said FEMA has reimbursed the parish for 75% of its initial debris removal cost of $67 million. The Biden administration decided recently that FEMA should reimburse up to 90% of the initial cost of debris removal, which Calcasieu had requested. Heffer said the cost of removing debris from Calcasieu Parish might total as much as $150 million, which FEMA will now reimburse at 90%. He said each government jurisdiction in Southwest Louisiana is handling debris removal on their own, although most are contracting with Crowder Gulf, a private disaster recovery and debris management company headquartered in Mobile, Alabama. Heifer said debris removal has gone well, and Crowder Gulf has done a terrific job. He said the government issued its final call this week for homeowners to take debris to the roadside. Hurricane Laura struck southwestern Louisiana on August 27th with 150-mile-per-hour winds. Hurricane Delta followed on October 9th, dropping up to 20 inches of rain on parts of the parish and beyond. Heifer said debris removal is almost complete nearly 7 months after Hurricane Laura. By comparison, debris removal after Hurricane Rita in 2005 took about 11 months. Brian Beam, parish administrator, has said recently that the estimated debris collected would fill the Mercedes-Benz Superdome twice. Others receiving reimbursement costs in this final round of payments include Jefferson Davis Electric Cooperative, Sulphur, Beauregard Parish, and the National Guard. A public service announcement. Reach a larger audience. Speak to your local community. Express your uncensored opinion on our hashtag free speech platform. A few of the many reasons to join AOC. Amplify your voice on our channels. Go to aocinc.org/submit. Need access to tools and equipment? Go to aocinc.org/join. You can also tag us when you share your program on social media, and we'll help amplify your message by sharing on our platforms. At AOC Community Media on Facebook, at AOC INLFT on Twitter, and at AOC Community Media on Instagram. Find it all at aocinc.org. In sports news, UL softball heads to Texas for a 5-game weekend. By Kevin Foote, staff writer. On Monday, UL coach Jerry Glasgow made it clear how badly he wanted to play number 10 ranked Texas Longhorns this week, or how badly he wanted to play any games for that matter. After all, his number 15 ranked Ragin' Cajuns hadn't played a game since sweeping Memphis on March 7th, his team's second drought of over a week already this season. So with an awful weather forecast for Wednesday's scheduled doubleheader, with Texas forced to change, Glasgow quickly adjusted and agreed to move the doubleheader from Lafayette to Austin, Texas. So now, The Twin Bill is scheduled to begin at 4 p.m. Thursday at Red and Charline McCombs Field. I want those games, Glasgow said. I want to play the best. The Longhorns are 16-2 on the season with glittering offensive numbers. Texas is hitting .386 as a team with 148 runs scored, 31 doubles, 32 homers, and 23 stolen bases. They need wins, Glasgow said. They're in a position just like us where they need wins. You're going to two teams desperate and hungry for a win. You've got to come out one at a time and try to take advantage of every break you get and try to keep from giving them breaks. If you look at the two games last year, both games were decided by misplays. We had a chance to sweep on their field. In the circle, the Longhorns are led by Molly Jacobson, 6'1" with a 2.36 ERA. Riley White, 4-1 with a 3.9 ERA. And Shalene O'Leary, 2-0 with a 2.3 ERA. They lost a key pitcher in December, Glasgow said. They've got some young arms, but Coach Mike White is one of the top pitching coaches in the country, if not the top pitching coach. He just does a great job with his ball club. The kids feed off his personality. He's a tough, hard-nosed competitor. He's extremely gritty, and his players emulate that. While some coaches would be concerned about such a long drought before a key matchup against an elite program, Glasgow is comfortable with the progress made with the 3 intra-squad games during the open weekend caused by Georgia Southern's COVID issues. It's something we rarely get to do in the middle of the season, have an intra-squad game, Glasgow said. We've got to have basically 3 games. We at least get something out of the weekend. I feel like I know my club better than I did on Thursday. I know where we're at in the bullpen and on the field, and where each player is in a lot more detail than if I would have went somewhere and played a conference series and only got to see 11 or 12 players. The biggest thing that came out of the weekend was the emergence of outfielder Kendall Talley on the depth chart. Kendall Talley is going back on the field, Glasgow said. She had an outstanding weekend. I got her on the field and she was able to compete. She was really outstanding. It's not a surprise because you never, ever underestimate Kendall Talley. She's a great competitor. But it was relieving to see her out there and really hitting the ball well all weekend. It's time to get her back in that lineup again. I'm anxious to see what she'll bring to our ball club. UL's offense hasn't been as mighty as expected, to the point the Cajuns, 13-4, are hitting .310 as a team with 111 runs, 16 doubles, 17 homers, and 45 stolen bases. I expect them to hit, Glasgow said. We've hit all year in our practice. We've hit all year in our intra-squads. I felt that like we hit the ball well at Memphis. If you look at their scores of games, they played against Alabama and North Carolina and some really good schools. I thought our offense was pretty good up there on the field on a road trip. After the doubleheader at Texas, UL will travel to meet UT Arlington, 3-14 for 3 games set to begin. I'm thrilled, he said. We need our conference going. We need games. We need games, period. We're looking at a 55-game schedule when the season started. Now we're looking at a 44, 45-game schedule. And we know there's going to be rainouts. And when we see how easy it is to cancel a game, we've got to believe we're going to be canceled again. I don't want to play 35 games this year. I want to get these games in. This has been Local News Live for March 18, 2021. I've been your reader, Robert Richard. Join us at 9 a.m. Monday through Friday on AOC 1, Cypress Street Radio, or the AOC Community Media channel on YouTube. You can read these stories and more at theadvocate.com and find out how to volunteer at more at aocinc.org. Good day.